Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for visiting my YouTube channel, Uncle Scramble. And I want to talk about Russell Westbrook here for a minute. And I don't like all the negativity that's being thrown his way as of recent. I saw some posts and heard some rumors going around that Bradley Beal wants to be traded, that he doesn't want to be there with Russell Westbrook. I'm not saying those words came out of his mouth. It's just that that's what the sports writers and journalists and some YouTubers are saying is going on in the Washington Wizards camp. And I have a problem with that because Russell Westbrook, everywhere he's been, people point the finger at him and says he's the problem. But I beg to differ. And I'm a big Dennis Rodman fan. Dennis Rodman will always be my favorite NBA player of all time. The only person that can come close to him, in my opinion, is Russell Westbrook. Just because they bring a certain energy to the court. They hustle. They never come out and give you a subpar performance. They give it all on the floor. And that energy goes into their teammates as well. So just want to put that out there to you. You know, outside of Dennis Rodman, Russell Westbrook is my next favorite player of all time in the NBA. But it's getting under my skin hearing all the negative talk about Russell Westbrook and how, you know, he couldn't coexist with certain players. And I just beg to differ. I'm looking at this from a different angle. And here's how I'm looking at it. We've seen him team up with Kevin Durant. We've seen him team up with Paul George. We've seen him team up with James Harden, I believe, twice. And now we see him teaming up with Bradley Beal. And I just think he's getting a raw deal from the media, pointing to him as a problem. I mean, you know, yeah, he can, I wouldn't say fly off the handle, but, you know, he get a little bit extra at times. But, I mean, he enjoys the game, and at the same time, he comes out and competes. Same thing with Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman came out, enjoyed the game, and had fun playing it. And Russ is the same to me. But we need to stop pointing fingers at him, saying that he's the problem. He's the reason why certain teams couldn't get over the hump and win championships. And I'm gonna give you some things to ponder here. Kevin Durant, for example. Not taking anything away from Kevin Durant, he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. And you know, I can't say anything negative about him. But if you remember, everyone got on his case. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people got on his case, and there were a lot of debates going on saying that he went to the Golden State Warriors, a team that just knocked them out of championship contention the previous season. He went and joined forces with the team that beat him. A lot of people had problems with that. I remember Stephen A. Smith had a problem with that. A lot of people had a problem with that when he went to Golden State and he won a championship. Now the question is, was it Russ's fault that they didn't win the championship in Oklahoma City? Just sit there and ponder that for a second. Kevin Durant goes. Russ is still playing at a high level. Durant goes to Golden State. Golden State wins the championship. Golden State was already a force to be reckoned with in the NBA with the roster they had already. So, did they need Kevin Durant to win a championship? Hey, we'll never know, but in my thinking, they would have won a championship anyway without Kevin Durant being there. Kevin Durant arrives, they win a championship. The next season, they should have won again, but you had injuries to Kevin Durant. You had injuries to Klay Thompson. The injury to Klay Thompson is the one that tipped the scales, because if Klay Thompson was there, they still would have made a run and possibly won another championship. But like I said, Kevin Durant showed up on the scene. They already had everything in place to win multiple championships, and we know that was a dynasty there. Moving on, we're seeing him team up with Paul George. Paul George came. He played for the Oklahoma City Thunder alongside Russell Westbrook. Everyone said, "Wow, this is going to be a great duo. I mean, they're going to be a force. They're going to get some things done." And once again, they fall short of a championship. Fingers point to Russ again. Paul George moves on. Nothing against the guy, great player in his own right. Paul George goes to the Los Angeles Clippers. Everyone's touting, wow, him, Kawhi Leonard, together. Man, those guys they're the championship favorite. They're gonna get the Lakers a run for the money. They're gonna take over in the battle for Los Angeles. See how that turned out. Now I'm a big Denver Nuggets fan as well as a Detroit Pistons fan, and I know some people say there was some okie dokie or hokey, hanky panky stuff or whatever was going on with that Denver Nuggets series against the Clippers, but the Nuggets came back and pretty much thumped them right out of the playoffs. And Paul George was there alongside Kawhi Leonard. They couldn't get it done. So I ask you again, and a little side note here, we all know the Nuggets were the true NBA champions last year. So we already know it was a bunch of stuff going on with that. And I don't even want to get into that. But you see a pattern. Paul George leaves, goes to the Clippers. They're supposed to win the championship. They get bounced out of the playoffs by the Denver Nuggets. Moving on. James Harden goes to Houston, and everyone is like, wow, this is going to be a great combo. They're together again. Okay. Mind you, they were together in Oklahoma City and couldn't get it done with all the talent there with Serge Ibaka, Kevin Durant. I'm not sure if Steven Adams was there at the time, but they had a pretty talented roster. They couldn't get it done. So moving on to James Harden. James Harden and the Houston Rockets. Everyone is like, wow, this is going to be the team to beat. This team's going to, possibly win the championship, or is this the beginning of a new dynasty? And we see how that fizzled out. And the Houston Rockets went from blasting off into space to coming back and landed at Kennedy Space Center. So see how that went. Yet you still point the finger at James Harden. I'm sorry, the finger at Russell Westbrook. Now we see the same thing trending in the nation's capital, the Washington Wizards. Not even 20 games into the season, and we already getting reports of discord there with that organization. Everyone's pointing the finger at Russ, saying he and superstars can't coexist. He can't coexist with Bradley Beal. Rumors are out that Bradley Beal may want to be traded and get out of Washington. My question is, where was all this trade talk, so to speak, when he was there with John Wall? John Wall was often injured. I mean, he's a great player when he's healthy, but he was often injured, and Bradley Beal pretty much became a one-man show there in Washington. So I ask you once again, is Russell Westbrook the problem? I say no. In my opinion, Russell Westbrook needs to be on a team where he is the head honcho, where he is number one. There's no questions asked about who the leader of this team is. There's no question about who's going to take the last shot. There's no question about whose hands the ball should have been in, and all that other jargon that we get when we get to debating what happened with so and so, or what happened with such and such team. what moves they should have done, what plays they should have called, and things like that. Russ will be the leader of the team, no questions asked. He's not going to work in a Batman and Robin situation. He needs to be in a situation where he is the leader of the pack, no questions asked about it. Kind of the same situations that you see LeBron James get into. There's no question as far as who is the leader of the team. You know, even if there's a superstar there alongside of him, that superstar takes a back seat, and they understand this is his show. I'm part of this team, and we need him to shine more than I do. So I'll take a back seat to, let's say, Russell Westbrook. Even though I'm capable of coming out dropping 50 a night, I'm going to take a back seat to him and let him do his thing. That's the kind of superstar that you will have to team Russell Westbrook up with to have any hint of success for that organization. And the teams that I wish that he would have joined up with, or that would have made a move to him, that he would have chosen, that he would have been traded to, in my opinion, where he would have had an opportunity to take that team to a whole another level, and maybe in a year or two get them to a championship. Because obviously teaming up with these other guys isn't working. But one of the teams that I had was the Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons went through pretty much a total rebuild minus 3 or 4 players this past off season, and there were rumors out there talking about Russell Westbrook possibly going to Detroit, or maybe that was wishful thinking. But I was part of that wishful thinking group too. I said, man, this would be a perfect opportunity for him to step in. Everyone would know he's the leader. Surround him with a couple of veterans and put some young guys out there on the court with him as well, and let him run. And it didn't happen, but I'm not going to get down on the Detroit Pistons. That's my team. Troy Weaver did a wonderful job on creating a blueprint on how to successfully rebuild a franchise and turn it into a winning team, return them to a place of prominence. I know we're not seeing immediate results, and people are jumping all over the Detroit Pistons. That's another video. I'm not even going to go into that there, but if they keep things intact there, pretty much maybe tweak it once a little bit, they're going to be returning to be a force in the NBA. So I had him going to Detroit. Another ideal place I had for him was Sacramento. Sacramento Kings, I mean, they're ripe for a rebuild. No one's really paying attention to them. So there wouldn't be a lot of scrutiny. The expectations wouldn't be as high as they were when he joined up with James Harden and Paul George came to Oklahoma City to be part of the Thunder. So I don't think the expectations would be as high. We would understand it was going to take that franchise a year or two to get into the groove of becoming a winning franchise again. You know, back in the days where they used to run up against the Lakers all the time. So it would take a couple years. That would be understandable. We wouldn't expect them to come right out of the gate and win an NBA championship. The Orlando Magic is another place that I would have liked for him to go to. He would have been in the limelight there, and it would have been a situation where he would have came in and you would have had a true leader on that team. I mean, that team it's sort of up and up, to be honest with you. You know, they got some talent there. I was very glad to see Markelle Fultz. I don't want to say reinvent, but I was glad to see him continue to progress and to become a player that may have many years in the NBA after everyone was down on him, calling him a bust. So I'm happy for him there in that situation. And if Russ was to join or would have joined the Orlando Magic, you know, I say they would have been, you know, in two or three seasons, they would have been a premier team in the Eastern Conference. Another team I had for him was him going back to Oklahoma City. They're obviously in a rebuild situation. And I know they parted ways, and there may be some feelings involved with him and with the franchise, but I think that would have been a good place for him to return to this past off season. Be part of the rebuild there. They all know that you're the leader of that team, and just give it a whirl and see what happens. So, I just wish that he would have went back to Oklahoma City sometimes, and like I said, finish what they started there. The other place on the list, and I know what I said about him being in a situation where it's Batman and Robin, but like I said, he will have to be in an organization where people respect him as a player and what he demands on the court when he's on the court, and the players that wouldn't have a problem with that. This team was the San Antonio Spurs with Pops there as coach of that team. Pops is well respected as a coach. Russ is well respected as being a leader of a team in the NBA by some. This would be a perfect situation. It would probably take them maybe 2 seasons max, and this is just my opinion, to win an NBA championship, and you could possibly see another dynasty there. And I don't see there being a problem with LaMarcus Aldridge, taking a step behind Russell Westbrook. I don't see a problem with DeMar DeRozan. I don't think he will have an issue with it either. Those guys want to win a championship. And San Antonio is a well-respected professional organization. And I think for him and Pop to be together, man, that would just, wow. You can only imagine how that would turn out, But, yeah, those are some of the situations that I would have loved to see him in. Like I said, I was favoring Detroit so he can groom Killian Hayes and play alongside Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin. And, you see how Dennis Schrader progressed when he played alongside Russell Westbrook, and even some of the other players that we named that he teamed up with in his early years. Kevin Durant, they grew together, playing together in Oklahoma City. James Harden was there with him, and who knows what's going to happen in Washington? But like I said, if everyone keeps pointing the finger at Russ, making him be the bad guy, then I don't know where this is going to lead for him and his career in the NBA. I would hate to see it where he becomes a person that no one wants on the team. And it would be a shame to me. But like I said, everyone just needs to get off his back, turning the page over here, and stop pointing fingers at him. Now, one of the things I do see is I see a situation in the future where, and don't quote me on this, but, and I'm not playing this fantasy basketball thing, I'm not building no NBA 2K rosters or nothing like that, but here's something interesting, and take note of this. Where did Russell Westbrook play his college basketball? Okay, I hear you all out there saying UCLA. Thank you. LeBron James is a Los Angeles Laker. Give him 2 or 3 more seasons in the league, maybe. Who knows what he's going to decide to do with his future. But I see in the future where a LeBron James departure from the Lakers is going to be the door opening for Russell Westbrook, in which the Los Angeles Lakers will become extremely dangerous. You're talking about a roster, if nothing changes too much, they already won a championship. I have my feelings about that personally, but they already won a championship. They have a championship pedigree about the team. And if they do retain some of the players that they currently have on a roster, let's say an Anthony Davis, and remember I'm saying that you need to have a player that is humble enough to understand that Russ is coming through the door and you need to step up under his leadership. And I don't see that being a problem with Anthony Davis. He could team up with Dennis Schrader again. And Kyle Kuzma, and you might have a couple other holdovers on that team. But boy, if Russ comes to Los Angeles and joins the Lakers, it's pretty much lights out. And I'm not a Lakers fan by any means whatsoever, but you just have to look at what they would create there. And he's probably got a good 4, maybe 5 more years in the league. I think he would turn the Lakers into a powerhouse. So, like I said, I'm not going to tarry on for too much longer here. That's just my opinion on it. I just don't like the bad rap and bad rep that they're throwing around about Russell Westbrook being toxic. And to me, if Bradley Beal wants to be traded, he's a great player in his own right. I would love to see him depart Washington and get into a situation where all this hard work pays off and he's competing for championships. I may do a video on that one day, because to me he's put his work in. He's been with that organization. I think that's where he was drafted, but he's been with that organization through these years where they pretty much just were a laughing stock in the league. They turned around a little bit. They got some, a few young players there, but I think he deserves to be in a better situation. So I may wind up doing a video on that as well, so be on the lookout for that as far as some of the spots that I think would be great for Bradley Beal. But this one is about Russell Westbrook. If Beal decides to leave or they decide to trade Beal and keep Russ there, that turns into a good situation for him, as he would be the leader of that team on the court and vocally. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. I know I rambled on a little bit, but just wanted to get that off my chest there. I don't think he deserves all the shade that everyone is throwing at him and all the talk about him being a toxic teammate or a selfish teammate. I say you put him in the right situation, he'll be up there in the conversation with the greatest of all times, with Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and there's a couple of others, but I think it will be those 3. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Russ ain't done yet, so let's hope he gets in a situation where he's given a great opportunity to win a championship. Anyway, Ample Scramble signing off. Talk to you later.